So we've been listening to proceedings from the House of Legislature where the Deputy Finance Minister, Thomas Ampem-Nyako, on behalf of the Sector Minister, Kasiel Atoforsen, delivered a statement on the floor. And here are some of the findings according to the statement delivered. It says that the government of Ghana paid 34,000 metric tons of rice to address the impacts of the dry spell. However, the Ministry of Food and Agric received and distributed 24,000 metric tons of rice. To date, according to the Deputy Minister, 10,000 metric tons remain unaccounted for, even though the entire quantity has been fully paid for. The audit, according to the Deputy Minister, also revealed that the government of Ghana also contracted a company to supply 100,000 metric tons of maize. The Ministry of Agric submitted stores receipt advised as evidence of delivery of the 100,000 metric tons of maize worth over 700 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Finance for payment, but only 11,900 metric tons were supplied and distributed. These among many anomalies that the Deputy Finance Minister says in Parliament, and it's been debated on by both the minority and majority of the House. This is certainly a development story that we will attend to shortly. But in the meantime, let's still stay in the House, because the minority in Parliament has warned of job losses if government goes ahead to implement the new sliding scale mineral royalties barely 24 hours after the bill was matured into law. The new royalties law will allow government to adjust royalties on minerals in alignment with the prices of the minerals on the global market. The minority has, since the introduction of the bill in Parliament, held concerns about the implication of the new royalty scale on mining firms and revenue generation. Addressing a news conference in Parliament following the maturity of the bill into law on Monday, Chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, Patrick Yao Buama, first explains the new rate will affect the instant decision of major mining firms in Ghana.
Powers. The Chinese are investing heavily in mining here, and they see the net effect of this fiscal regime on their investment. The Chinese took over the Achim mines, Newmont Achim. It's all owned by the Chinese. They also have a mine in Achempim. They are doing big mining operations in the north, I think Upper East or so. So if the big major players or the big economies are talking about this regime, then government has to look at it carefully. Let me tell you, you protect your business interests, you protect your revenue, but you should always remind yourself and remember that Ghana is not an island. That is the problem with some of the rhetoric you hear. For example, people will talk about, oh, you have oil. You are not using the oil revenues to... Ghana produces not more than 120,000 barrels a day. E&I closed their wells for over 4 years. They didn't care because of fiscal arrangements. Some of these big players, their profits are bigger than our GDP. You should know, check the profits or the size of ExxonMobil and the size of some of the major mining companies. They churn out billions of dollars. You understand? We go to the capital market to raise $3 billion. So you should always strike a balance, not to have at the back of your mind that somebody is cheating you. Because you can create a concession or give a concession to a mining company, they'll do the exploration and think they are going to mine, let's say, 100,000 ounces a year. But it will turn out not to be like that. That will be loss of huge amounts of dollars. For you to drill an oil well properly, you need no less than between $80 to $200 million. It's a high-risk area, mining and the natural resources sector. So we should always strike the balance to attract people, give them some favorable terms, create jobs over the long term so that you'll be able to raise the adequate revenue that you're talking about, create the jobs that you are talking about, and you sustain the economy, rather than you being tight and they leaving to other parts of the world, because you know that resources are being discovered in a lot of countries. And if they are being offered favorable terms, they will leave. And who loses? Secondly, you promised the companies a reduction in the growth and stabilization levy. It means that you knew of the effect of this sliding scale and royalties regime on the revenues and the investment plan of these mining companies. So as we speak, there's nothing before Parliament. I've done my research. I've spoken to key government people. And you are all friends of the House. You are always here with us. If government had introduced anything to cushion the mining companies, you would have been the first group to have reported on it. There's nothing like that on the floor. And it's marks of some dishonesty on the part of government that you promised them to do this to cushion them, and as we speak today, you haven't done it. And these are global companies represented in various parts of the world. And their reports will go to their headquarters. They will not take us seriously because, to the best of their knowledge, this is not a right framework to attract investment. So they will start looking elsewhere. That is my worry.
So government suspend this?
Government should honor their promise of reducing the growth and stabilization levy from 3% to 1% to balance the hardship on the companies.
Away from Parliament, the Ghana Water Limited says aging infrastructure, erratic weather and rapid population growth are crippling water supply in the northern region. The Daloon water treatment plant, built to produce 45 million gallons a day, is now operating at about 35 million gallons, nearly 22% below capacity, far short of Tamale's estimated daily demand of 90 million gallons. Director of Public Relations at Ghana Water Limited, Stanley Mate, tells Joy News the ongoing Tamale Water project is expected to ease the pressure. The disclosure comes after a Joy News hotline documentary revealed the human cost of the crisis. Residents of Grumo trek up to 7 hours daily in search of muddy and safe water, an ordeal the community's chief, Al-Hassan Musa, says is quietly straining marriages and family life. Here are excerpts from Thirst in the North, produced by Nana Boachi Yadom.
Even though Ghana has committed to the UN Sustainable Development Goal on clean water for all, nearly 4 out of every 10 rural households still rely on unsafe water, ponds, rivers, or open dams, often shared with animals.
They spend all their time at the dam or looking for water. So it means that any other activity they are supposed to be taking that is income related is suspended because you have to get the water. And the last one, he says that their children are unable to go to school most of the time because they spend time looking for water to keep them clean before they go.
This dam, built over 2 decades ago, is the only source of water for Grumo and nearby villages. It is the only dam that saw them through the harsh drought of 2005. But it has not been dredged or expanded since it was built, and now it is failing them.
During dry season, residents struggle to get water, and the only water that is left in the dam in the dry season is not something that can be used for domestic purposes.
At the chief's palace, Al-Hassan Musa sits with a heavy heart. His voice carries the pains of his community members. He speaks not only for water shortages, but of private struggles.
Newa come to kum. There was mother than Malewa or deep tam. Come by Cambabe out to Carla Cana, Pike Wester, and to do no bon quam. Yaman dam.
Even when it comes to sex, because when you have sex, there's no water to bath, and this is affecting their relationships.
No bon come shuma. Mamma Shuma come so come. Come can.
Across northern Ghana, nearly 1 in 5 households spends more than 30 minutes just to fetch water. In the most remote areas, that journey can stretch to several hours, costing children their time, strength, and sometimes their education.
Those are excerpts of our latest Hotline documentary, Thirst in the North. The full documentary is available on our social media platforms. Meanwhile, Director of Public Relations at Ghana Water Limited, Stanley Mate, says the water crisis stems from a combination of aging systems, erratic weather conditions, and surging population in the northern region.
And so that is why I'm saying that our west is quite sufficient.
Let's go to the north then, northern region.
Okay. So the northern region is served from the Dallon treatment plant, where we extract water from the Nawuni River, and then we treat for the people. Now, there are lots of challenges here because the Dallon treatment plant is an old treatment plant. There was some work that was done some time ago, so with the Tamale Water Project. So then we improved on the supply to Tamale and its environs. The main challenge there is the level of the Nawuni River during the dry season. And then during the dry season, what also happens is that the people within that area win sand, alluvial sand, so they make the water very turbid. When it so happens, it affects the performance of our pumps. Sometimes they break them down and all that. And the pumps there are quite old. One, for instance, that I remember is, I think, was installed in 1972, and then the other new ones that were installed about some 15 years ago. But we have challenges with them because of the nature of the raw water. And during the dry season, the level goes down. Now, what we have done now, which we just completed about a week ago, is to create a weir so that we can store more water in the dry season. So now, as I speak, the levels are good. So we can abstract water and still treat during the dry season for the people.
And what will be the impact of this?
There's a population increase within the area, so the treatment plant is unable to serve the entire population. So we ration water within the Tamale municipality. And so that is another challenge. So we're unable to serve them 24/7. But at least every community gets water about 4 to 5 days in a week.
The pulse returns after this.